Grrrls Like Us, and we are here with 2/4 of Catbite. Did you want to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band?
Yeah. So I'm Britt. I am the lead vocalist and keyboard player in Catbite.
And I'm Tim. I do guitar and some backup vocals in Catbite.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. I'm Kanan. This is Raven. We both live in Southern California, so it's like always. It's always like between like 60 and 80. Right now it's really hot.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
So jealous. We just like have the in Philly. It's just like extremes at all times. So it's like the summer is like 90s, and then like the winter it's like -10. It's cool.
-10.
Yeah, it gets fucking. I mean, it's not
maybe
like normal.
Maybe
it's not
that.
like normal, but like
it'll get cold.
It'll get like 20
it's, like,
degrees.
Your face just like hurts.
It like hurts to go outside in the winter, which is not cool. I don't know why people live here. It's cheap. That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I think Kanan has fallen in love with that area.
I want to live in Philly. I mean, I've lived in California my whole life, but I don't know, something about it just gravitate toward.
No, it's a cool city. Like the music scene is awesome here, and like I said, it's like cheap to live here, and it's like close to everything. Like you have like New York, and you have Washington, and like Boston. Like the whole like Northeast is pretty chill. It's just the weather sucks.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Everything besides the weather is great about Philly.
Yeah, but you can't win them all, you know.
No, I would probably take that over how much it costs to live over here. So.
Oh yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's like when we hear about other areas, we're like, what? Like, what?
How are you buying a house?
Oh yeah. Like, well, like
it's crazy. One of our friends lives in Pennsylvania, and she was talking about her job, and she's like, yeah, I get paid like $8 an hour. And I was like, are you okay? Like, is that normal there? She's like, yeah, it's like I have like a pretty good size house, like everything. And I'm like,
where in Pennsylvania?
I don't.
Probably like any part but Philly, because like the rest of Pennsylvania is like
not city. She's like outside.
Okay.
The city.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like originally like from Bumblefuck, Pennsylvania. It's fucking weird there. You got some weird shit going on, but yeah, like you can buy a house for like $20,000.
Jesus.
Like, I mean, it's not gonna be a nice house, but it'll fix her upper, but like property.
Yeah.
I mean, like $20,000 in Philly, you'll buy like a fucking that big area, but like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I feel that.
LA, but like that small of an area.
But you can buy like a shed for $20,000 here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Shed connecting to somebody's house. Yeah, somebody else.
It's not your own shed.
Yeah. No running water. Just you gotta dig a hole for the water.
They're like, there's a hose over there. It's fine. Like,
that's not bad.
It's not bad. All right, Raven, did you want to get started? We always do. We digress.
I want to just give a little bit of background about Catbite and like how you all got started with music and how the band formed and everything.
Yeah.
Do that.
So we started in 2018.
2018,
yeah. Tim and I kind of, well, he was in a long-time ska band for like 9 years, called the Snails. They're from Lancaster, PA. And he had recently quit that band. He was in like a power pop band, like in the in-between time after that band, and before we started Catbite. But I had just graduated school. I studied jazz voice performance, and I graduated from school, and I like have always wanted to be like in a band. I've always wanted to be a performer. That's always been like my goal. I never was like planning to like teach or anything. Just was like, that was the main goal. So Tim and I were like decided like we just wanted to start a band together. And you had already like had the name Catbite.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah. So I was in this band, The Snails, for like a long ass time, and I had like no creative input into this band because like I was like the musical idiot in the band. Everyone else was like super smart, like super musically trained and stuff, and I was just like rhythm guitar player and did all the booking, did all the manager shit, did all the driving. So like totally like the glue in the band, but not musically. And so I like started writing music for myself. Like I like learned how to play guitar to be in this band when I was like 18, and like that it was like all I knew. I'm like, this is my only way to be like a musician. And so I just kind of like floated along in this band, and I like started writing music for myself like when I was like 26 or something. And I would just like save all, it was like literally every style of music, like anything from like power pop to ska to like hardcore, like post, it was just whatever. I don't know. But I like didn't show anyone, and I just like put everything into a folder on my iTunes and just called it Catbite. It was just like some random name. I'm like, this sounds cool. It's easy. I don't know. And I even made like artwork for this imaginary band Catbite, and just like literally didn't show anyone. Like no one heard any of these songs. And then yeah, so like I don't know, we just started like, we're like, let's start a band. And
yeah, so we started doing just like taking covers or doing covers of songs in like a ska style. So we did Miss Anne was the first song that we covered together.
It's like a Little Richard
by Little
song.
Richard. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I forget.
But yeah, I mean, I think like originally we weren't like, I don't know. I think we were like, what kind of like genre band should we, you know, what should we do? And I think ska, we just kind of landed on ska because that was like the most like fun music that we really enjoyed playing that kind of music. So I think that was like what we both gravitated towards.
Yeah, and like I'd like fallen in love with like the ska scene, like in sorry cats, man. That's Amanda Bynes too. She likes to yell out the window. She's a sweetheart. But like yeah, so like my old band, we were like a ska band, but we were like gravitating towards not being ska because we were just like, we were a band for so long and like playing ska, and like we would tour and stuff, but like no one really gave a shit about ska, and like the rest of the band was just kind of fed up with it and just kind of like started to kind of conform to like the Philly like indie garage rock scene, which is like really big here.
Mm-hmm.
And like they just kind of like abandoned like all the ska friends and family that we met along the way, and that was like one of the big reasons why I'm like, all right, fuck this, like this is not fun, like I don't want to be in this band anymore. And I was just like, all these friends that I made for like the past 10 years are all in the ska scene, and like I've just become really close, and like let's just try and do a ska band. It was just me and Britt, and then my coworker who was Johnny, who was our original bass player of Catbite. He was like in a similar situation where he just left a long-term band, and he's like, well, I like ska too. And I'm like, well, you should play bass in this ska band that we're gonna start. And I eventually just like booked studio time with our friend to like record some demos, and we tricked our current drummer, Chris. We'd asked him to be our drummer, and he's a
really, really great drummer, and he was in like
5 or 6 bands.
Yeah, 5 bands at that point in time. And we wanted to have like practice every single week or like twice a week or something like that. And he was like, I can't commit to that. Like I've got too much going on. Yeah. And we were like, well, then you can't be in the band.
Yeah. But
we couldn't find another drummer.
Yeah. So we tricked him into recording with us and recorded 3 songs with us. And he literally just like learned them in the studio that day and recorded them. It was perfect. And then immediately after that, I was like, oh, by the way, we also have a show booked. And like, you have to play the show now.
Like, you already know the songs. Like,
yeah. So then we tricked him into playing our first show, and then we got another show and then another show and another show. And then like we just started like, it's like, oh shit, we're a real band. And then like Bad Time Records has started exact same time that we started as a band. And I'd known Mike for years because through Kill Lincoln, my old band, had played with them a bunch and toured with them and stuff. And he like saw what we were doing and just like sent me a Facebook message one day, like a long Facebook message, like, hey man, I saw you're doing a ska band. I'm just so happened to be starting a ska label. I want to like model it after like Asian Man Records, super DIY and like all about the community and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh shit. Okay, cool. Why not? Yeah, yeah. And like we literally were a band.
It's just all like really good timing for us, I think.
Yeah. And we're like, yeah. And it's like, all right, let's do an EP. And I was like, okay, can you do it in like 2 months? I'm like, yeah. And then we were like, no, we can't.
No songs.
And then eventually he's like, all right, let's just do a full length record. And it'll be the first like Bad Time Records proper release. Because they did a reissue of a Kill Lincoln record and a reissue of a We're the Union record. But we were like the first like new band, new record on Bad Time Records. And just it was just like we were not like expecting anything about this whole band, or I don't know, we just kind of went into it just like this will be fun, we need a creative outlet, and like it's just like us friends doing stuff. And then they just like we put out our first record,
snowballing ever since.
Yeah, it's just great timing and just I don't know, just being cool and having fun. And that's the beginning of Catbite.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially recently with the release of the new album, too, like, there's been so much buzz. Like, you just did the Vans channel, like, Oregon Grace, like, played you, and, you know,
I know, that's
you and stuff. Like, it's exciting stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's just so cool. Like, I don't know, we're just taking it one thing at another. Like,
yeah, anytime like something crazy like Laura Jane Grace like playing one of our songs on, you know, her playlist, we're just like
yeah.
I was like, trust me, I know about that because I was watching her DJ sets. I watch them every month.
Yeah.
And I'm always so like, I know that band. I know.
I know.
Like,
I love her so much. Yeah.
Crazy.
So
I love her.
Yeah. She's like, yeah. I mean, that's why I play Rickenbacker, is because of her. Like,
oh yeah.
She's been like, I wanted to like be her before I even played guitar or wrote music. So it's like fucking insane to see her like shouting us out. Like, it's like, what?
She's like, I'm not the biggest ska fan, but here's Catbite.
Yeah.
It's just wild that she like knows of us.
Yeah.
So. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Hashtag blessed. That's what I say.
Do you think that the way you've grown up, like Britt, you said that you graduated and you're a jazz singer and all these different things outside of ska, do you think that's influenced kind of the music you're writing? Because you do hear like bits and pieces of it, like when you listen to the songs. And from what I've read, you have the traditional, like the Selector, the Specials, you know, all these other influences, but then you have like Elvis Costello as like an influence for Catbite too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely like, I mean, when I'm like, when we go into like writing songs, I'm never thinking like I'm gonna like use like jazz influence into it. I think it just like kind of happens naturally, just because like that's something that I know really well. And like, I mean, I really didn't get into ska music until like basically like when I moved to Philly. So that's been like 8 years now. So like eight years ago. 7 years ago.
Yeah, 7
years ago. Like growing up, I listened to like a lot of like pop and soul, and my dad is Peruvian, so I grew up listening to like a lot of Spanish music, but I think like all that has definitely like rounded me out in that type of way where like I guess I think it, I mean, I guess it comes out in like the Catbite sound. Like I kind of can just pull from that stuff while also knowing ska music now, and like I think the styles just like are able to like melt with each other really nicely, so that it works really well. Yeah, but I never like intentionally am like trying to write the song in a certain way. It's just kind of what happens as we are writing.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with like jazz singing though?
So I was studying music in so I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale. I was studying in Orlando at a state college, and I was studying classical music at the time. And there was a teacher that like once asked me, you know, like if I think I had just done like a performance in the class, and the teacher would always like ask you things afterwards, and she asked me like if I was happy while that in that performance, and I was like yeah, like yeah, I was happy. And she was like, well, you just look like you're in so much pain. And I was like, oh my God. But like, yeah, because I just didn't really enjoy it. I mean, I am like very thankful for studying classical for like foundation wise, and like it was definitely great. It's definitely great to have that like in my tool belt, but like I didn't enjoy it. And there was an adjunct teacher that came on and started doing half-hour jazz lessons, voice lessons. And so I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, let me get into this. And I started working with her, and I just like, I loved it. I loved it so much because it's like complete opposite of classical music, where like classical is by the rules. You can't like, you have to follow everything because that's what it is. And jazz is like, you slip up, you make a little mistake, and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to work it into whatever I was doing. And that's jazz, you know? So I just found it really freeing. And I was able to like really connect with like that music. And so that's how I got into it. And I wanted to continue studying it. They didn't offer anything else at that school. So I ended up coming to Philly to go to school here, and I ended up graduating here. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, how'd you go from like jazz to ska to like,
Yeah.
it was interesting. But I also like really want to note, like, when you talk about how strict classical music is versus like jazz, and then even like ska and like the alternative scene, like your vocal stylings are very interesting, like where you choose to like enunciate, or how you like on what melody and stuff like that's very interesting.
Well, thanks.
So yeah,
I like
enjoy it.
It's cool.
Yeah, I feel like since, I mean, obviously I in school I was able to like figure out what type of performer I am now. I think like it definitely was very helpful being in school and learning that kind of stuff. But like now being like in this band and like putting out this second record, which like the sound of the second record to me is more like, it's the Catbite sound, but like polished.
Yeah.
And you know, whereas like the first album was like, it's the sound, it's pretty much there, but like it just needed like a little more oomph. And then like the Nice One album is like hitting you in the face with it. I feel like I have like grown just like with the first and second record. Like as a performer, I'm like even more confident in myself, and like so proud of this music that I'm just like ready to just be like, you know, like
yeah.
I love that.
Punch you in the face with it.
Oh, by the way, I have the record.
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't it so pretty?
It's very pretty.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. That album is really good. I was listening to it today, and it's great. It's great.
Thank you.
The opening track too. I feel like I need to be on the beach.
Everything's sticking. I got like the pinwheel.
Listening to it like a little party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Pinwheel one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like oh my gosh, so like the songs are so fun. Like
Yeah, we're just like, like super kind of like sad, depressing lyrics, but like as poppy and danceable as possible has kind of always been the Catbite thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, that's the type of music we like.
Yeah, I love listening to like, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like it catches people off guard and like makes them really focus more into it. Like you're like, oh, this is like a dancey song, and then you listen to the lyrics and it's like kind of sad, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like the sweet and sour effect. I love
exactly.
I love like sweet and
like Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're the Union's new album too, like does that like Ordinary Life. You listen to the lyrics and you're like, wow, this song is so like upbeat, and then you're like, wait, no, it's like sad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait a second. What am I singing?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I wanted to ask, what was like, I know you did the Paps Me Up song, which, cover of Scratch Me Up, but for Paps, like that was just like a fun thing that you did. Like, how did that come about?
Oh gosh.
So I was just like, I was like on Twitter one day, and for some reason, Paps.
Tim is addicted to Twitter. That's why.
No, you gotta be on, gotta be. If you're a band, you gotta be on everything all the time. But I was like on Twitter one day, and they posted some weird shit. Like, if you retweet this post and get like
a certain amount
of likes, will follow you back.
Yeah.
And so I like retweeted it and was like, if we get, I think it was something ridiculous, like 690 likes or whatever, then you get followed back by Paps. And I was like, if we get 690 likes, we'll do an entire PBR concept ska album or something. It was like something real stupid, and I didn't expect people to actually like it. And we got like 500 likes on it or something, and PBR followed us back anyways. They just like started following us on Twitter, and I had like already made the joke of like Paps Me Up. At one point I like made like a fucking, I don't know, something on Photoshop, like a quick little thing, and it said Paps Me Up. And then we were all like hanging out, the band, because like, we're like best friends and we just hang out all the time. And we were all just hanging out the one night. I'm like, yo, we should just do like an acoustic cover while we're here hanging out of Paps Me Up and just like send it to them. And then and then I'm like, wait, let's take it even further. And let's get a version of our song Scratch Me Up with no lyrics. And then I know the person that did the music video for it, and like they're our friend. I'm like, hey, can you send us the music video? Because it's all green screen. Can you send it to us with the green screen still intact? And we literally just like the next morning, Britt and I just like woke up at like 8 a.m. and just like rewrote all the lyrics to the song to be all about beer or all about Paps. And then we just like recorded it and sent it to our friend. He like mixed and mastered it really quick. And then we got the raw video, and I'm just like on here on Premiere, like just putting like a new background on for the green screen. And we like turned around the entire thing in like 10 hours and just like posted up on Instagram or on Twitter and Instagram and shit. And I don't know, I just get like these weird fucking ideas all the time, and I'm just glad that my bandmates like humor me and like participate in it. I mean, it's the same shit with like when we redid our first album as like a country record and a hardcore record.
We were gonna talk about that too, the country.
It's mostly just like me sitting around and be like, no,
it'd be cool. It's what we call Timmy brain.
Timmy brain. I'll just like sit around like, that'd be really cool as if we just did this.
Yeah. Or like, it'll just be like, it's just be like randomly, we're just like going about our day. And then Tim will be like, I got an idea. It's just like out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh God, what is it now?
Yeah, but everyone like usually goes along with it, which is pretty sick. Yeah. And like,
they're good ideas.
It's making up for the lack of like creativity that you like were able to use in your other bands.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's cool.
It's just like his like creative brain on overdrive now from being suppressed.
Well, now that I know that my bandmates like will humor me and like do it, and like our bass player Ben, he's like an audio engineer and has been able to like this whole pandemic we've just been like putting out content nonstop because I'm like lucky enough to like know how to do video stuff. Like that's always been like a hobby of mine. And then Ben, his hobby has always been like doing sound engineering and stuff. So he's been able to like, record stuff and just like, we just send everything to him and he's able to like, and then we have shit to put out, even if we're like stuck at home and can't play shows. And it's been really beneficial for this like entire past year and a half where we couldn't play shows.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yeah. It's always fun stuff to do,
Yeah.
Like that.
It's really convenient. Like you do video stuff, he does sound stuff. It's like,
and also like that we're like, there's only the four of us, and like Britt and I are like married and literally live together. So like at the beginning of the pandemic, like when we couldn't even see Ben and Chris, our bass player and drummer, like at least the two of us, like
it was very
right
helpful.
off the bat, we just like started doing like acoustic covers and stuff. And we like at the beginning, we just were like, we're gonna cover
when everyone thought it was gonna be 2 weeks long.
Yeah, we were like every day of the pandemic, we're gonna cover one of our friends' songs, and we did that for about 2 weeks straight. Like we almost hit 2 weeks. It was like it got to almost at 2 weeks, and I was like working the whole time too because my job was like a what do they call it? Essential, yeah, whatever. So like I would just like work all day, and then we'd come home and learn one of our friends' songs and like do an acoustic cover. It was really fun though.
It was really fun.
It kept us like,
we were super busy, and then when we realized it's like it's gonna be a little longer, we were like, I don't know how we can do this.
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
I was like, every day of the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can't believe we lasted that long.
I know.
It was at least like probably like 11 days in a row.
I feel like everyone was a little more motivated at the beginning when they thought it was only going to be a couple weeks. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take this time and do these projects that I've been putting off. Or
I mean that's when we just when we decided we were going to write and record an entire record. But then we ended up actually doing it. Yeah, that was like it was like at the beginning of the pandemic, and we're like, well, let's just use this time to write and record a record, and then we like booked studio time in Los Angeles, and then we're like, oh shit, we have to do this, and then we did it. But it's all about making deadlines. Make some deadlines, and it'll happen.
I was gonna say how you said that people were starting to do like all these different activities and hobbies at the beginning of the pandemic, and then I noticed like the Jeff Rosenstock flag behind them, and how when we talked to Jeff, we like asked him like all these questions, like the pandemic, like did you bake bread? Did you like
Animal Crossing?
Do all these things? He only played Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
He played Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
He didn't bake banana bread.
He did. Yes.
He made like these like
it was the balls, right?
Like these bread balls, these like South American bread balls. I forgot what they were called.
Oh wow.
They're like cheese.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So we're like, interesting.
That's pretty cool.
He like sent us the recipe.
That's cool.
He's like, oh, I'll send it to you, and he actually did.
Whoa.
Aww.
Shit.
That's awesome. Did you make them?
No.
Sorry,
Shit.
Jeff.
We all like asked each other too. Like a few weeks later, we're like, did anyone ever make them?
We're like, no. I feel like we get distracted really
happens.
easily.
That'll definitely happen.
Yeah. I love bread.
I love bread.
I do so much.
Then it made me think of the banana bread and the bad influence video.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's based on a true story.
That's a ridiculous story too.
The acting in that video though was like
Thank you.
top notch.
We all got our acting debut.
We're Golden Globe. Is that acting? Golden Globe award winners.
Yes.
Award-winning music video.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Golden Globes.
Yes.
That was a fun video. I like literally stayed up 2 days in a row making that entire video because I've like very little knowledge on like green screen shit, and I was just like, yeah, it was fun.
Do you know this? Do you both know the story
Didn't you
about
say?
the banana bread?
Oh my gosh, your coworkers, Tim, your coworkers took 8 edibles. They didn't know where they were edibles.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, one of my like newer coworkers, they brought in a tray of banana bread that they made, and turns out that their roommate used that pan for like edibles, and it was like a nonstick pan, which apparently that shit stays in no matter how much like you wash it. So our like entire work just got fucking dosed, including me. And like
and the GM
and like the GM like it was at least like 20 people at my work just like fucking stoned out of their mind, but like no one knew that they were stoned because I mean,
why would you think? Yeah, why would you think
it was fun? So
at work?
So like I left early that day because I had to meet my mom and sister, and I'd already seen them a couple days before, and like was super sleep deprived and stressed because they're the most stressful people in the world. And I left work early to meet them because they were coming early. And as soon as I left work, this was like an hour after I ate the banana bread, I'm just like feeling fucking stoned, but I'm like I smoke a little bit of weed, but not like a lot of weed. So I was like weird. I feel stoned, but I just thought I was like borderline having a panic attack just from like lack of sleep and anxiety of like dealing with my mom and sister. And I spent the entire evening like dealing with them. Like I had to fucking cook them shakshuka because my mom found out that I make really good shakshuka somehow. And she's like, I never heard of it. You gotta make it for me. And I'm like, and I'm like in the kitchen and they're like hovering behind me. Like, what are you doing? What is that, tomatoes? I'm like, and I'm just like freaking the fuck out, but like not trying to be a parent about it. I'm just like, what is going on? And like Britt was supposed to be home from work, but she was like late. So it was just me with my mom and sister, like literally right there, just hovering in our small kitchen. And then I just felt like weird and shit the whole night. And then the next morning, I was talking to my coworkers and I told them about how stressful my mom and sister are, like how to go with them. I was like, dude, it's so fucking weird. I literally felt like I was stoned the whole time. And then my other coworkers like, what? You felt like you were stoned yesterday? I felt like I was stoned yesterday. And it was just like one after the other, like all my coworkers like, wait, you felt stoned? I felt fucking stoned. I didn't want to say anything because I thought I was losing my mind. And then like we're just all like, what? Like what? And then at like the same moment, everyone's fucking light bulb went off. It was like, the banana bread. We all ate the banana bread. And then like word got out, and like the GM, like HR was like calling me, and I'm like, I played dumb. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it sucks. The person that brought it in ended up getting fired, which sucks, but they hated the job anyway, so it's fine.
Well, Tim was like, when he found out, he was texting me while he was at work. He was like, the banana bread, it dosed everybody at work. And I was like, I started freaking out. I was like, what the heck? He's like, no, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm like, that is a big deal though, because like I love banana bread. I would have ate so much of the banana bread. You know what I mean? Like if I worked there, I would have ate so much of it, and I would have been stony baloney because I don't smoke at all. And I'm like thinking, like I'm just like putting myself in that situation. I'm like, I would have been stoned out of my mind and like probably had a panic. You know what I mean? Like it would have not ended well for me. And like luckily everyone else was okay. I mean, I think the GM wasn't.
She had to leave. Yeah, she like left.
Like, she was panicking a little bit.
Yeah, she was gone for 2 days.
See, so like
it was like I don't know. She's like, also very dramatic, but
well, I feel terrible that person lost their job, but also Tim was like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, you smoke a little bit, so like it's not that big a deal for you. But like someone who doesn't smoke a lot, and if they ate a lot of it, like
yeah, I only had one slice. There's a couple of people that had like 2. It wasn't like as strong as like a normal edible because it was like it was like the leftover shit, but it was like like I had a piece like about like that big, that thick, but like
and you still felt
I felt like I was mildly stoned
I'm like
for like.
wondering how much did they use in?
I mean, if they're making
it.
edibles, they gotta make fucking.
Yeah, I guess.
No, but yeah, but cool music video idea, and yeah,
And then we did it.
and then we did it, and I got stoned when I was editing it. Yeah, I just remember like so that's like all green screen shit. And it was like the hottest day. It was literally like 100 degrees outside. And I was like up in our spare bedroom, which doesn't have air conditioning. And I like set up the green screen. And, like Britt was out. I was just like home alone. And I'm just like set the camera up. And I'm like putting on I have a green screen suit, like the spandex suit thing, you know? And like I would put like fucking cat mask on. I'm just like dancing around, like filming it. And then just... felt like an idiot. It took so long.
We'll have to send you like the outtakes of the videos of him doing that, because it's like him like just all green and like has like, you know, boxing gloves on. It's just like a green thing moving with like the guitar.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's really fun.
I was like dying. I literally came home from work the one day at like 5 p.m. started working on the video, and then like stopped working at 5 a.m. the next day, and then like went to work, and then like came back because like I was like putting off this music video for so long, and then Mike from Bad Times like, hey, we need that Friday, and this was like Tuesday, and I'm like and so like pretty much it's fine. Also, our computer isn't like the greatest for doing video editing, so like I would do like a little bit, and then it would die, and then I would do a little bit more, but it turned out really good. I think the video. It's something, you know.
It's something. I was saying, you said you worked from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. on the video, and then you went straight to work.
Yeah, and then came home and then finished the video for like spend another like 10 hours working.
Tim doesn't normally sleep.
I'm really bad at sleeping, especially if I have shit to do. I get really manic and just literally just will have to work, and that's just how I work. Get shit done though. And then I crash and I sleep for like 2 days straight, and then I restart. We're good. Yeah.
You wake up with all these creative ideas.
No, that's exactly what happens. And then
it starts going.
Get my notes in my iPhone, just like that's literally just Timmy brain ideas. And that's the story.
I love that. That's the story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Love it. Let's talk about the new album. It just came out.
Yes.
I was reading about the recording process and how that was kind of an experience in itself, recording during a pandemic.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we like originally thought about doing it like kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, where it was like, it'll be fine. Like we'll just fly to LA, record, because we were supposed to be doing a tour on the West Coast and Japan. So we had our flights already to LA, and we're like, fuck it, let's just keep our flights and fly out to LA, record the record. And yeah, because like what else are we gonna do during the pandemic? And then
before we had, when did we start? We started writing like
in like May of 2020 probably.
Yeah.
So we had no new songs at this point. We were like not planning on recording at all. We were supposed to be touring like a bunch of 2020. That was the plan.
We had an idea to like maybe start writing a new record like at the end of the year. But then obviously everything stopped. And we had those plane tickets. So we were like, yeah, we want to work with this producer. He lives in Long Beach, Davey Warsop. Like, let's write a record now, and we'll record with him. And so we gave ourselves, basically that was like 2 months. It was like 2.5 months. We were supposed to originally record in September. And we started writing like May. And then about I guess like 3 weeks before
we were supposed to go.
Yeah, but 3 weeks before we were supposed to leave, our bass player Ben, he works at a dog daycare. He got bit by a dog. He was like breaking up a dog fight. He got bit by a dog, and the dog broke his arm in 2 places. He had to get like surgery, put a plate in. Yeah, so dog bite for Catbite.
Dog bite, cat bite. Dog
I was
bite.
just thinking. I was
The
like,
dog bite saved Catbite
Yeah,
because
but-
dog bite prevented Catbite from going to LA before we were ready.
We were not ready at all. The songs were not ready.
Yeah.
And so like thank you, dog, for doing that. We actually credit the dog on our thank yous for the album.
What was his name?
The dog's name was Winston.
Winston the Bulldog.
Yeah, I think so.
You have to look for that now, Kate.
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
have
look at that for that.
It's
Yeah.
on if you have like the insert with the posters.
Yeah, it's in the. You have the insert in there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's there in the thank yous.
he's like one of the first ones we thank because
Yeah.
he really saved
Yeah.
the record.
So we ended up postponing the whole recording thing to November, which gave us like an extra 2 months to finish recording. And then by then, like, we were like good, ready to go. And then instead of 2 weeks in LA, we gave ourselves only 10 days because of our schedules and his schedule and everyone's flights and shit.
Yeah, it's right here.
And
Winston the dog for giving us an extra 2 months to write the album.
Yeah, I mean, he really saved us.
yeah,
I mean, unfortunate for Ben for having to like get surgery and a plate in his arm, but
He's
like,
fine now.
He's fine now. Yeah, he healed up great.
yeah. It was like a
Everything's-
really clean break on the forearm. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't like his wrist or anything.
Yeah,
It was just like 2 puncture wounds that literally just went into the bone. But
yeah.
he's fine.
But so then we ended up going. So November comes, we go out to Long Beach to record. And yeah, we only had 10 days instead of 2 weeks
2
like
weeks.
we had planned before. So we were like, we gotta get, we gotta do this fast. We gotta make sure everything's good. 3 days in, we get all the drums done
and like the arrangements and all that shit.
and
yeah.
arrangements are done. And then Davey, our producer's girlfriend, ends up being sick. And he is like, we don't know, like if she has COVID. They needed to get tests, and then we were waiting on the test. So we lost 2.5 days. And in that time, we're like, well, we can't go anywhere because if they have COVID,
Then we
then
might
we
have
probably
COVID.
have COVID, and like we can't be going out to places and stuff. Although a lot of places weren't really open anyways, but like, so it was just the 4 of us cooped up in this 1-bedroom Airbnb, just like basically losing our minds, waiting to hear back. Then like 2.5 days later, we find out like they're fine. They're both negative. And we're like, thank goodness. But we were unable to finish recording everything there because we had lost, so much time.
We got like probably like 85-90% of the record done there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like so we got back to Philly, and then right when we got back to Philly, we were gonna finish the record with our friend here in Philly because we knew what we wanted to do. It was just basically backup vocals, a couple like lead guitar parts, and like aux percussion and shit like that. And as soon as we got back, then that was like when like the second wave of COVID hit, and like Philly was put in another lockdown. It was like right when we were leaving LA, and we were like, shit, are we gonna get stuck here?
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, because like also
Flying was terrifying.
Yeah, we all had fucking middle seats, and like they put you, they pack you in there still. This was like November of 2020.
Bad.
We all had like fucking 4 masks on just the entire time. Like they were like handing out food and beverages, and people were just like, all right, masks off, and like drinking and stuff. And all of us were like,
It's
what
terrifying.
the fuck? Like I just
Like,
like kept putting
hello?
masks on top of my mask and just like sitting there in the corner, just like in between 2 people the whole flight. Like fuck this.
Well, because
I thought I was-
paying for a seat. We're like, just give us whatever seats. And then,
Yeah.
but we all end up with a middle seat. We're like, oh, we should have just paid for seats.
I know, but yeah, we got back and we like all quarantined, like before like we went back to work or whatever, and then we just basically had to wait until for like the beginning of the year, so that like a month and a half goes by before we're able to finish recording the record, which like sucks because we were like super motivated and like ready to go. Like we only have this much more to do, and then we couldn't do anything for like a month and a half. We couldn't even like see our bandmates or anything. Like it was just like
It was rough.
yeah. And then as soon as like it was like okay to like, you know, things kind of went like chilled out a little bit, we met up with our friend Lucas Kozinski, who has a little studio here in Philly that we recorded a couple of songs with. We did our song with that was on that Ska Against Racism compilation. We did that with him, and yeah, he like super cool, and we finished the record in like a day and a half, and then
we had to sit on it and have no like, you know, normally you can go and start playing shows and like start playing your new songs, and you get, you know, you can gauge like what the audience likes and doesn't like, and like maybe change things about the songs, but we weren't able to do that. So we literally were just like listening to the album over and over and being like, oh my God, is this, are people gonna like it? Are they gonna hate it? I was like super anxious to release it.
Yeah, I think we all were, because like, yeah, usually you have the opportunity when you write songs to play them, engage, get some reactions from the crowd, or, you know, just some sort of feedback and be like, all right, this song works, or this song doesn't work, or like this part in this song is weird. People like look at you weird, or like people really like this part. And we had absolutely none of that because we wrote every single song in isolation and never got to play any single song live. The only reaction we had was Asinine Aesthetic, which was the song that right when we started writing this record, we got hit up to do the Ska Against Racism compilation. And they're like, hey, do you have any new songs or any songs that you recorded? And we're like, no, but we just started working on a new record. And that was like one of the first songs that we started working on. And we just did like we literally like, I made a demo, we practiced it one day, and then we recorded it the next day, and just kind of like, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then we submitted it for the comp, and we got like great feedback from that, but we changed it a bunch for the actual record and like re-recorded it. But like that was literally the only feedback we had for any of the songs on this record until just now. When we were able to finally release it, and people like it, I think. So that's really good. I think we were all like a little very anxious.
Yeah. A little very.
Yeah.
And also like this being our second album, it's always, I feel like it's like the make or break of a band sometimes, you know, like some bands release their second album and it does terribly,
sophomore flop.
And then sophomore flop, and then it's just like it's really hard to like continue on after that, or like to come back after that, because people are just like, that album's you did such a great album, that album sucked, and then they just like don't give you the time of day anymore. So that was like something I kept thinking about. I was like, what if that happens to us?
Yeah,
we're done for. But people like it, I think.
But people like it, so I feel like, yeah. And then it was like so cool to like finally play these songs live. We played 3 shows for our like record release weekend, like our first ever headlining show ever.
Yeah.
And it was sold out show here in Philly, and it was like it was definitely the coolest show I've ever played in my life. And
so
like,
fun.
Fucking 12 years of playing music, like this was the best show I've ever played. It was just so cool. Yeah.
I've heard positive things about the record, so I don't think I've heard anything negative. So
awesome.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
I like it.
Yeah.
As long as you like it, that's what's important, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
I mean, the Selena cover too that you have on it. It's awesome. And I was reading I think it was Brooklyn Vegan, the interview that you did, and talking about having the Selena cover on the album. Kind of, your hope was that it would kind of bridge the gap between like the U.S. ska scene and like the like Spanish ska scene a bit, because there's so many great bands coming out of that scene that people don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, in like Mexico, ska is fucking huge. That like bands are playing to like stadium size places. Tim's old bandmate, Matt, who played in the Snails, he went on tour with this band Bad Manners and played keys for them, and they went in South America, right?
It was like South America and Mexico, and he was just like, yeah, every single venue that we play, it was like in Mexico City, they were playing to like 20,000 people, and like just
nuts.
It's just like completely night and day compared to here, like in the U.S. Whereas this, Bad Manners are like a legendary two-tone band. Like they're old and like they've been playing forever, but like in Philly, they would draw like 50 people, which is sad. But then like in fucking Mexico, like just thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
But it's just like wild to see that like so many people in the American ska scene are just like so like oblivious to what's going on just right there, just with the only thing being like a language barrier.
Yeah.
And like
and it just feels like kind of silly to me. Like we've got all this technology, like Google, you can literally just copy and paste lyrics into Google and then it'll translate it for you. And then like to me it's like if you find like a band or a song that you are just like vibing out hard to, like what is stopping you just because you don't understand the language, like from continuing to like seek out other bands that are related to this one, just because you don't understand the language. I know it's difficult. I know it's like different. Some people just like, I don't know, they just don't feel the need to reach out towards that like genre of ska or type of ska. But there's so many like really awesome bands that deserve recognition that I think are just not getting it yet. But I hope maybe like, yeah, like I hope this could maybe be some kind of like bridge to connecting the two.
Yeah, or just get people to realize like there can be cool catchy songs that are in different language. Like I don't speak Spanish at all, but like I have no idea what's being said in Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, except like that all I know is I can sing along to the chorus and like still have a good time to it. And like it'd be cool if like other people do the same thing, and like I don't know, just like us like and other Spanish speaking bands like kind of latching onto it, and then just
yeah. And like the way that the community is now in ska, and like specifically with like a lot of like the Bad Time Records artists, it seems to be like super everybody is just like really happy to share other like friends albums and stuff. So like if we're getting lots of shares on this album and people like who've never heard of Selena or never listened to like any kind of like Spanish music hear this and they really like it, then maybe they will look to some other things to like get to dive into it,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because like also like a lot of people, like just yesterday we were kind of doing like a ask me anything type thing on Instagram, and just like what's your favorite song, like we'll tell you more about the song, or like ask us other shit about the album. And like there was a decent amount of people that were like didn't realize that Bitty Bitty Bum Bum was a cover.
Mm-hmm.
And like I personally had no idea who Selena was until I met Britt. Like it's just like, which is like, and then like learning about like the whole Tejano like scene and stuff, it's like what? I had no idea this existed. And I'm fucking from Texas, which is like,
oh, really?
I mean, like I moved to Pennsylvania when I was like 1, but like my mom and my dad lived in fucking Texas.
From Texas.
No, it's just like you would imagine like my mom and dad would like, it's just
know something about it,
or even like
or have mentioned
it.
it.
Like I didn't even know about the J-Lo movie. I've never like Selena was like,
I had to teach him a lot.
I was like, I have no idea who Selena is. I have no idea who she is. Never heard of her. Like this is all new to me within like 5 years ago. Our bass player Ben, we had to. When we brought up the idea of doing this song for the record, and we showed him the song, he's just like, okay, so it's the same chord progression over and over and over
he just
again.
like didn't care.
He didn't really get it,
and then I was like, do you know anything about Selena? And he was like, no.
Nope.
So I told him like about her and like her story, and he was like, well, holy shit, I didn't know any of that. And it like really helped him like understand why we wanted to do it. And
yeah. And now he's all about it.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just so like, even if we're doing that little bit to help, because I don't know, it's just cool to always be learning more stuff about music. Like if you're into music, you're going to want to learn more. And like, if it's like, especially because like, you know, like a lot of our fans are like white people in America that probably are just oblivious to a lot of this stuff like I am or was like about this stuff. So it's just cool. And like, you know, most music fans are always curious about more music, especially if it's related to something. And if they like our band and we're interested, like, I know for a fact, like if I like a band and they're like saying, this is my influence, and I haven't heard about that influence, I'm going to look into it.
Yeah.
And like, if we can do the same thing with our fans, like there's this whole other thing that you have no idea about, all this Spanish music, and then it's influence to us, then it's going to get them going, or at least some of them going, and then maybe they'll learn some more.
Yeah, definitely. I love how it like,
go ahead.
Are we going right? I was gonna say, I love I just love how it like helps broaden people's scope of like other genres and types of music and other countries and other continents. And I think it really also shows that like anybody can make music, that it's not like, you know, like ska is not just for like white American males or whatever. Like anybody can make music and any type that they want. And so I think that helps.
Yeah,
definitely.
And like learning,
but Raven, go ahead.
Like learning those stories too, and like knowing the like meaning behind it, or you know where it came from. Like it definitely makes you appreciate it more too. Like you said, once, you know, he learned the story of it and of her, and you know what happened and everything. Then he was like, okay, like I get it now.
Yeah.
It really was like a shift in him. He really was not into it.
Yeah, like we were practicing the song for the first time, like when we're like, let's cover this Selena cover, and I like sent it to him, and he was literally just like sitting in a chair, like
and it made me mad. I was like,
Britt was mad as shit.
I was like,
because usually he's really
put
into
some
it.
Respect on her name.
He's like, this is the most boring song ever.
I was like ready to fight him.
Yeah.
I feel like
but now he knows.
Yeah, like Selena is like a staple in like every Hispanic kid's like childhood, because like, I mean, I'm Mexican, like I grew up watching that movie all the time, like that's my sister's favorite movie, but like to us it's like a part of our, you know, culture and stuff, and then you meet someone who has no clue about it at all, and you're like, whoa. But at the same time, like, people just don't know, you know?
Yeah,
teach them.
It's really weird. Yeah. I mean, I love like teaching people about things that they like haven't heard about, or like, you know, introducing them to things. Cause like, I mean, I'm a white kid, so but I grew up watching Selena too. So and then I was talking to my dad about it, and he's like, "Who?" And I was like, "How do I know who Selena is and you don't?"
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So it's like
it just misses like some people, and
like me.
Yeah.
No idea.
We learned it real good.
I know.
And then you put the song on there, and then people are gonna go, "Oh, like."
I feel
what
like
song is this? And then they're gonna
turn into one
research.
big dance party. You're gonna know
who
the fans are.
Yeah.
It's gonna definitely be a dance party.
And it was really awesome because we got to I mean, our friend Esteban Flores, he does like pretty much like 90% of the keys parts on Nice One. And then I do like the rest, but he's so amazing, and like a super huge part of like the East LA like Hispanic ska culture. And so he got to like rip a crazy solo on that song. And like that was important for us to like have him featured on that song too. Like just needs recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Shout out to Esteban Flores.
Yeah. Love him.
A million different bands too. Like he's all over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in every band.
He's literally calling me right now.
He heard us.
Oh my gosh, what the heck?
That's so weird.
Yeah. He literally
He just
called me like
That's
2 minutes ago.
Is
He knew we were
listening?
talking
He's
about him.
listening.
I love him so much. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I want to bring up speaking of like the like IG like Ask Me Anything. Jared did one yesterday too, and someone had asked him about fourth wave ska, and I kind of wanted to ask like what your thoughts are like with like the different waves and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally like in agreement that like the waves are kind of silly. Like there was the birth of ska was like in the very late 50s and like the early 60s, and that's like where ska came from in Jamaica. Like it was birthed from like calypso and like R&B and jazz, and that was just like during like Jamaicans just like independence and just like creating a music for themselves, and like that was like where it came from, and then it like it eventually it kept going and kept going and kept going, and then it just also came over to the UK with like a lot of Jamaican immigrants, and like became a melting pot with like the punk, the like white skinhead working class punks, and like the like Jamaican skinhead working class immigrants, and that's just kind of like birthed the second wave. But it's I don't know, it's kind
I think it's hard to call it a wave when like it doesn't feel like they're like for each wave, I guess, like although each wave, I mean, besides like the start of ska in Jamaica, the next wave, the third wave, like kind of have like a new sound to it, whereas this doesn't feel like a new sound. I mean, some people might say there is, but like this just seems like definitely ska never went anywhere. People thought it was like corny for a while, but like people were still doing and making ska music. It just wasn't as popular. I think, what did Ben say? That was so good that he said, in the Vans interview, we were asked a similar question to this, and Ben said something really awesome that I really liked. He said people just weren't in the mood for ska at that point in time. They just weren't in the mood for it. They were in the mood for, whatever was like popular at that.
Yeah, I mean that's
point.
Yeah,
in
like
the in the 90s.
Yeah, like ska kind of
was into grunge and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of shifted to like different. I mean, that's what things like that happen all the time. Like in fashion, people change. Like it just shifts. So I think the focus shifted, and like ska had a huge, presence in the 90s, and then that
it got overtaken by like
it shifted hard. That was the thing.
Shifted so hard that
really
people's
hard.
like memory of ska was like all they could remember was like Real Big Fish, which I mean they're a great band, but like so many people like just went to this like mall punk goth thing, and like looked at ska and it's like that's too goofy and corny carnival music, and it just kind of snowballed into like this weird like running joke where like
if you like ska, you're a nerd or whatever.
Yeah, or like whatever. But so like I feel like ska just like at this point has like all the people that like hated on it kind of like outgrew that, and all this like newer generation of people that are like kind of discovering music and discovering like alternative music and stuff are kind of just being drawn to ska because it's something that people are looking for right now, because it's like it's danceable, it's like relatable. A lot of the bands that are doing it are like very relatable music, lyrics, and I don't know, I think everyone that's like all the younger people just missed the memo that ska is corny, and they're like kind of just latching on, and just that's what's kind of making it popular again.
Yeah, but not necessarily another wave, I think.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I think like what you said, like a lot of bands are talking about like very relatable things like mental health or gender identity or something like that in ska music today, where like in the 90s it did become like not so much about like that kind of like lyrical input wasn't going on in those songs. So it definitely is different in that aspect, but no, it's been here.
Like
Didn't go anywhere.
in a sense, or like each like time period kind of had their own theme, you know what I mean? Where like the Specials, the Selector, like it was about like anti-racism, you know, stuff like that. And
yeah.
now it is like about like the gender identities, like all these different other things.
Yeah, it's definitely just like, and I think it's kind of keeping that like
where like the two-tone movement was about like anti-racism and like, you know, black and white people fighting together. This
now it's more like social awareness
it's
in
like
general, but it's like keeping that going in like modern sense.
All these other things are happening, you know. Being
like we
socially aware.
Something still very meaningful about this music it's just continuing in a different form, things that are more relatable to what's happening today, I guess.
But still keeping it super danceable.
Yeah, because it's ska.
just like two-tone like two-tone in the 70s. Like if you watch any videos of like the Specials or the Selector, it's just like you know, they're going hard as shit on stage and literally just talking about like, you know, the Thatcher era, like the era in Britain, and like how fucking terrible it was, but everyone is fucking dancing like there's no tomorrow. And it's like, and that's kind of got lost in some of the popular bands in the 90s, and that's kind of what like people remember from that, though it was still strong with bands like Fishbone and like so many others that like, Slackers and stuff have just never stopped keeping that alive. But like now it's like more apparent, and like people are really taking notice of that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
So not a wave, just a I don't know, people are paying attention to it again, and
they're in the mood for it now.
People are in the mood for it, and I think the bands are there's a bigger sense of community within the bands. That's kind of what I think it really comes down to, is it's not bands against bands, which I kind of feel like that has kind of been the like the fall of like the third wave. Was it became kind of a band against band because it was just all it was major record labels just like giving money to like, they're like, ska is in, all right, and then you had bands just popping up because they saw money signs when you said you were ska, and like it became every band for itself. And I think that was probably like the fall of ska, and it just kind of it lost that sense of community, which is from the beginning of ska has always been there. And because of that, and with the times changing, and like, you know,
labels are like not really, it's not like the goal of like it used to be. If you're in a band, you want to get noticed by like a major label, you know, but that's like not the case anymore. People aren't, that's not like their end goal for their band.
Yeah. So, and I think that's why people are just, it's doing so well right now. It's because it's back to that, like, because no one's doing ska for the money, like that's for sure. Like, so like if you're doing ska, like you're doing it for the community and you're doing it for fun, and it's because it's something you like. It's not like you realize that the major labels are looking for ska. You're doing it, and like a lot of these bands have been like, either they're newer bands but members have been on the scene for a while, like us, like or just other, you know, it's just bands that have been doing it for a while, and they do it because they love it and because of the community. So and people are just kind of taking notice of that because everyone's shouting each other out, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And like we introduced our fans to our friends here and on the other part of the
I just think of the Real Big Fish song when they're like, "Sell out."
Exactly.
Good song.
It's a fair, yes. Heard that many a times on the Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So when you did the country and the hardcore albums, the Catlight and the Catfight albums, you chose to donate the proceeds to Hearts on a Wire, and I wanted to know, like, what made you pick that organization?
They were just like an organization that a lot of our friends are close with. Our drummer Chris, his partner, they have worked with them a lot. They do a lot of like burlesque and like work with a lot of queer groups and stuff like that. And we were just kind of like brainstorming amongst the group because we like, I don't know, it just felt like we just wanted to do that, like to do this and like donate the money, because we didn't spend much money doing it, and we're just like, because our bass player literally, he recorded the whole thing, and it was just for fun, and like we're like, let's just donate the money we can, because we have the power to do this, like and yeah, we just we're brainstorming different groups to donate, and Hearts on a Wire just like made the most sense, because it fell in line with Bandcamp. They were doing like the Bandcamp Friday for most of the pandemic, and at this point they had stopped, but for Juneteenth they did a special fundraiser where that Friday, it wasn't actually on Juneteenth, but it was like the weekend of Juneteenth, where they were going to be donating all of their profits from the bands to, I believe it was the NAACP legal fund or something. And so Hearts on a Wire, like we wanted to work with like somewhat like an organization in like the queer movement, but also like most of their clientele is for people of color, and it just made the most sense. They're like a really great organization here in Pennsylvania, and they've just helped so many people out, and they just don't get talked about that much, because like I'd honestly not heard about much about them at all until like we started talking with our drummer's partner, and they were just like, this is a great organization, and they would like lose their shit if you could donate. And we were able to donate not 700, 900.
I think it was like 720 something.
Yeah, it was
727 something.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like $700 towards them, which was cool.
Wow.
But yeah, it was just fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah, right on. I was actually like, I went to their website and I was looking through the research report that they did, and where they like surveyed all the past inmates about like mistreatment and harassment and all those kind of things. And it's just like something that I think people don't realize is that like, okay, and also like 42%, something like that, of the people that were incarcerated was for like prostitution. So if you're not going to hire somebody because of like your religious beliefs or your discrimination, because they're transgendered or because they're like a transgender person of color, then they have to go to like prostitution or something, sex work, and then they're going to get thrown in prison, and then
misgendered,
and then you're going to throw like a transgendered woman into a male prison, and then it's just going to be awful. And then they get out, but then they're a felon, so then they can't get a job again, and it's just like this cycle that's like never ending.
Yeah, no, like when I heard that there was an organization that like literally focuses on that, it was like, yeah, we have to do this.
A no-brainer.
Yeah, so it's just horrible to think about. So if we could do anything to help.
Yeah, anything to help. Yeah, totally. So right on. Yeah.
That's awesome. Kanan, did you have any more questions?
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
I'll ask like one more question just about like the new album, kind of like what do you hope the listeners take away from it, or what are you hoping they gain from it?
I mean, I'm hoping that like people who listen to this album really see the transformation, I think, of like first album to second album, and like see how much like we love making music, and like I don't know, I hope that people just have like a lot of fun listening to the album, and it inspires them to like be creative in whatever aspect they want to be creative in.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I just like, I don't know. It's a hard question. Cause like, I mean, we make music for ourselves a lot, but like, I mean, we're all performers, so we're all like have that bit of like people pleasing in our brains just enlarged, and like, so as much as we want to say we make this for ourselves, we're 100% making it to please our friends and family and people that like, you know, look up to us. And I think, yeah, this album was to just a gift to all the people that like have supported us with our first record, and like just like we wanted to create the best record that we could, that we want to listen to, that we think people would want to listen to. I don't know, I've just always in my head, it's like, be the band you want to hear. That's just, I think that's a fucking Laura Jane Grace lyric from something like that. I don't know. It just, that's always my mentality, is just like, you know, be the band you want to hear. And this is the band that I want to hear. And like, I literally like this whole pandemic, like up until we released it, I just had it like queued up on my phone. So every time in the car, I would listen to this record and just like listen and listen. I do that with everything I ever record. I just like constantly listen to it and like try and like find things I don't like. And this is like the first record in a like ever, I think, that I've like haven't found something yet. And I think that's like
good sign.
That's a really good sign, because usually like two listens into something, I'm like, fuck, should have done this. or like there'll just be like something that's gonna drive me insane for like the rest of every time I listen to it. And like yeah, I'm really proud of this record. Like, me and fucking best friends did this, and like under like the most ridiculous circumstances, and like to come out with this record, I'm just very stoked.
Proud.
I think I want people to be proud of us.
Yes. Aww. I was thinking when you said we want to be the bands we want to hear, and I was like, that's from New Wave.
That's
we
right.
We want to be the bands we want to hear.
See, that's the first Against Me record I listened to. I got it at a flea market, and it had like a DVD in it, and it was like Live at the Key Club. And I literally watched that DVD before I played every single show for about 3 years. Like with my old band, I would just like pop the DVD in and just like watch it, like, yeah. All right. And then like go play a show. It's just like so good. But
yeah, no, 100%. I was like, I'm a ridiculously huge like Against Me fan. So
yeah, same.
I was thinking about it, I was like, wait, what, that lyric, what's that from? And then it like clicked in my head.
I was like, I'm like, what song is that?
Exactly. Well, thank you for being here with us. We
do you want to
really appreciate it.
Social media and where people can find you and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, social media, everything is at Catbite Band.
Mm-hmm.
Just Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have TikTok, but that shit is wild. It's too hard.
Still figuring
too much going on. But we got some shit on there. Or just in general, just catbite.net. Finally got a website. I figured out how to use Squarespace. Use keyword catbite at squarespace.com and you get what isn't that with all podcasts?
Huh?
Never mind. Catbite.net. They always have like every podcast is like use Squarespace.com.
Oh yeah,
for
like 20% promo code.
Yeah.
Catbite Band.
Yeah.
For 20%.
You can try putting Catbite Band on your Squarespace trial. It probably won't work, but I highly recommend using Squarespace, because even I could learn how to use it.
Yeah.
I built a website in like a day. It works.
A great promo for that.
Yeah.
Squarespace.com. But go to catbite.net first. And then, yeah.
Love it.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for taking the time and talking, and it was a lot of fun.